streams. It's loading up.
Okay.
And okay, we're good.
Are we all good?
Loading up. We are live.
All right, thank you. Oh, that's right. We have to do the YouTube thing. Okay, I would like to call the meeting to order, please, and have a roll call.
Okay. Miss Bailey? I saw her. I think she's there. Dr. Cable? Miss Coleman?
Present.
Mr. Cox?
Present.
Dr. Davis? Miss Grubb?
Here.
Dr. Henderson?
Here.
Miss Lawson?
Present.
Miss Talbert?
Present.
Miss Merricks?
Here.
Mr. Powell?
Good morning, this is Brooks.
Hey, Brooks, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
You have 10 members present, which does represent a quorum.
All right, thank you. And thank you all for attending our meeting. And thank you to Rhonda for getting it all set up and conducting it through us. So the first thing we have is this certification of a virtual meeting. Do we need to do anything with that, Rhonda?
That would be
I'd
Robin.
like to make a note that we posted it on the website on July 7th, 2020, in accordance with the executive order. This meeting is being held virtually due to circumstances surrounding COVID-19. We did provide a place for the public to attend and view and comment if they wanted to. And my understanding is we have not yet received any comments.
Well, I am relieved. Thank you. Okay, so next we have introductions and announcements.
Hey, we do have a new advisory board member, our student member. Their last time to serve was in June. So Mr. Cox is our new student member, and I'll go ahead and let him introduce himself and say a little bit about himself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stone Cox. I'm the LSU Student Body President, and I also have the pleasure and honor of sitting on the LSU Board of Supervisors as a student member. I'm originally from Houston, Texas, but then I moved to Lake Charles, Louisiana, my junior year of high school. So I snuck in just in time for TOPS. So thank you, the advisory board, for the TOPS.
Well, thank you, Stone. Welcome. I hope, I don't know, who knows what the fall will bring, but I hope it's, I hope it's good. And we appreciate your time and congratulations on being elected to this board. Okay, now we have any other announcements? We move to approval of the minutes of May 7th, 2020. I'm sure you all read them, perused them. Does anyone have any additions or corrections to the minutes? And if not, then it's approved as presented.
This is Amy. I lost my train of thought.
Thank you for the motion, Amy, to approve the minutes as presented.
Thank you.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconds.
Thank you. The minutes have been moved and seconded for approval. Any objections? All those in favor say aye.
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 The same. All right, the minutes are approved as presented. Okay. Any public comment?
We've not received any.
All right, so we just move on past the public comment. And that brings us to our program updates. And the first one of those is Ms. Underwood, the ABLE reports.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You're viewing our numbers from the end of May for all three of the START programs. START Saving has 67,898 accounts with 1,038,083,425 in account balances. Start K-12, 885 active accounts with $3,708,959. And the ABLE program, 249 active accounts with $1,361,793.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I was checking something on my computer and I accidentally advanced the slide.
No. Oh, I like that. My screen now shows, this is a little different who's talking now that I can see my screen. Does anybody have any questions? Are we ready to go on? Terry, we can just leave you to go through these. Is there anything else?
No, that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. LOSFA Public Information and Communications Update, Ms. Francis.
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Rhonda, you can go.
Thank you so much.
Is it? There we go. Okay, so I wanted to highlight our media mentions and our updates to our website. So at the beginning of June, as most of you know, LOSFA began processing our 2020 graduates for initial TOPS eligibility. We wrote and distribute out press releases to remind students of what to avoid when it comes to TOPS processing delays. And so these were our media mentions for that. Now available on our website are monthly scholarships. We, for the past couple of years, we've been promoting it on Facebook alone, but we found that it would be most beneficial for students to also highlight it on our website. So it's available there. It's under, if you go to the homepage, it's under scholarships and grants. And then all the way at the bottom, it'll say additional scholarships or other scholarships. And so now each month it's there. These include national scholarships, and we are up to date until the end of August. So we should be posting our September scholarships very soon. Okay, Rhonda. So this is just to highlight our previous campaigns. FAFSA Now, we were really at work. I was very excited about my team and, you know, the team collaboration that we did via Zoom. We had countless meetings about it, but just to keep the students engaged virtually. As you can see, the graphics were, you know, very colorful and engaging, but again, we featured important information to help the students and families fill out their FAFSA and also to assist them with FAFSA errors. At the time of June 22nd, we identified 1,464 errors. So we really wanted to figure out what was the best approach to reach out to those students to help them fix the FAFSA in time of the TOPS priority deadline of July 1. And so we contacted them through phone calls, emails, media, social media, just all efforts just to try to reach them in time. And last, we also contacted legislators via our constant contact email distribution platform to help with getting the word out to students. And then on the right-hand side, partnering with our START division, we had a 529 week. And so we had different days of the week, like to get families and account owners and students involved with the importance of saving for college. So it was awesome to have over 50 constituents participate. And we were able to announce our winner on social media, this account owner, Christy Boudreau. She participated in all 5 days. So that was pretty awesome to spread the word on the importance of a 529 plan. Okay, Rhonda.
Okay.
All right, and last slide. As you all know, Shanko Williams was our former LOSFA Advisory Student Board member for COTCC. And he, along with all of our other Council of Student Body Presidents who are administered through the Louisiana Board of Regents, we partner with them to highlight their college access and success experience, and also to tie it to our 5-point match. So now we're helping middle and high school students get to experience like a sneak peek as to what college life is really like. So I encourage all of you to, click on this video. All of our media mentions and the videos on my slides, as well as the packet, has a hyperlink attached to it. So you can click on it and view the videos, and then it'll bring you to all the other videos on our YouTube page. And the last update I wanted to just mention was our website and YouTube analytics. We've been, as you can see, receiving a lot of traffic, a lot of foot traffic to our website. And it's by way of social media and other websites, like even LSU's website. So we have 84,101 page views for the past 30 days. So that was some, data that we were excited to share. And that's all I have. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions? Y'all, I know you're all very busy, and these are extraordinary times, and I thank you for all the work you do, and I hope that the students that you work for are as appreciative as we all are. It goes for all of you who are out there working. Okay, next, anybody have any questions? Okay, next we have the field outreach services update. Dr. Cobb.
Good morning. So, good morning. So this update will cover the APR results, our texting campaign, specifically TOPS Tech, the Foster Youth Student Campaign. We're going to talk a little bit about our Connect to Success initiatives and activities, our virtual summer camps, and our Capital Area Promise initiative with that we actually worked on with the mayor's office. So you can proceed to the next slide. Okay, so first up, our APR results. So as you know, we actually administer the state Louisiana Gear Up grant. Every year, we're required to complete an annual performance report to the U.S. Department of Education. Our next year budget is contingent upon successfully completing this report and, making sure that we are, have successful results with our students. And we are pleased to say that we had some really excellent results from the students that we support. As you know, Louisiana Gear Up is in 15 districts across the state. We support over 12,000 students through Louisiana Gear Up. The way the grant is set up, we start with those 6th and 7th graders, and we follow them through their first year in college. Also, as you know, in one of our districts, Sabine, we actually support 6th through 12th grade and for first year in college, all years of the grant. So this slide actually gives you some insight on some notable outcomes. In that first bullet point, we actually had some great successes with academically. We had more students actually taking pre-algebra, more students actually receiving, at least basic mastery or advanced on their actual LEAP testing for our younger students. We actually had more of our students actually taking 2 years or beyond in math, which is very important. Many of those courses are gateway courses to post-secondary. And we had more students placing in college level math and English without a need for remediation. So very important that our students are not actually going on to college and still having to take developmental coursework. So we're very pleased about that outcome. Next, we had more of our students actually taking rigorous coursework, which is a requirement of the grant. Our students have to be provided the ability to take rigorous coursework. So we had more students doing that. We also had students who were actually in college. So our first year college freshmen, more of them actually were on track to graduate as indicated by them actually persisting from their first year to their second year. So that was actually also good. Students who went to college immediately afterwards, we had an increase in that in our priority model district. We were very excited about that, especially we had several of our schools that actually increased in Sabine. We actually had more parents participating in the program. As you know, data indicates that the more we can get our parents involved, especially for our high need homes and with our high need students, we can definitely get more students to matriculate and persist in post-secondary. So we were excited about getting more of our parents involved. We actually had more of our students actually taking the ACT by the end of the 11th grade. And also more of our students actually completing the FAFSA. So those are some of the actual stats that we reported to the U.S. Department of Education. So we're very pleased with those. You can advance on, Rhonda. Okay, next, our texting campaigns. As you know, we have several texting campaigns. One of mention that we're going to talk about today is TOPS Tech. Another is Foster Youth. Specifically for TOPS Tech, we started this particular campaign last year with our 2018 graduates. You know, a lot of people, you know, deem it as the gap year. So you know that students have that gap year, so to speak, to actually use or to receive their TOPS Tech award or their TOPS award, you know, period. So in 2018, we launched the campaign to say, okay, you were awarded TOPS Tech. In order to receive that award, you have until fall 2019. We texted those students, as you can see, that's the data on the left side of that table that says 2018 campaign of how many students we actually targeted and how many students we actually engaged with. Some common feedback was they didn't know, they didn't know how to accept the award, and they had difficulty understanding, you know, how to use the award, you know, which programs were actually, they could actually use the award for. And we actually worked, you know, closely with our communications team to make sure that students understood that. And we also took this information from the 2018 campaign to launch the 2019 campaign earlier. So when we started this, the 2018 campaign, as you can see, it started in July, which this campaign this year, we actually started it in May. So we wanted to let those students know, hey, you know, you have, for the 2019 graduates, you have until, you know, fall of this year, but, you know, give them more time for us to communicate with them, for them to communicate with us. And we also use that data, that feedback from the 2018 campaign to guide us in this campaign. Now, we still had students who did not know, but we didn't get as many students saying that. But in those who did not know, we were making sure that to determine if there were any patterns in maybe schools, areas where they didn't know that information. And from that, I do want to say that from that 2018 campaign, we did have 214 students after the campaign who did accept the award, which resulted in approximately $370,000 in additional scholarship money for those students. So with that 2018 campaign, we do deem that as being a successful campaign. We do want to the campaign this year to definitely be successful as well. I can say we wanted to exceed it, but what I do know, if we get, you know, one student to accept the award, which we do want more, I believe the campaign will be successful, because we definitely want students to be equipped with knowledge on how to receive those awards. Another campaign that we worked on is the Foster Youth campaign. We have been texting those students, getting those students signed up in our tech. We've been emailing those students, I apologize, and getting those students signed up in our texting portal as well, so they can get ongoing updates. We want them to understand that they do have, they can actually apply for or receive the Chafee educational voucher. We have targeted 313 students. We've received messages back of those students, you know, just being so appreciative of receiving that information and helping them walk through actually connecting with their financial aid office at their post-secondary institutions on how to receive that. We've even had a post-secondary institution reach out to us. So, you know, that lets us know, hey, this campaign is being effective with our foster youth as well. You can proceed on. The next slide, it goes over our Connected Success initiative. Again, we've talked about this before. Basically, our Connected Success campaign is with 4 post-secondary partners. You can see listed here. Basically, this is our campaign to make sure that we're being very intentional where we're connecting secondary studies. So their high school pathways, their high school plans, their dual enrollment, making sure we're working with post-secondary so students understand the relevance of that, and they're getting hands-on activities that connect them to those, ultimately those careers, but knowing which programs of study actually lead to those careers and to those dreams. So this is these are some of the actual year-round programs that we've done, and some of the summer programs that we've done as well. Advance on to the next slide, Rhonda. Now, with that being said, those same post-secondary partners, Northwestern, GSU, La Tech, Southeastern, all of these post-secondary partners are actually right now actively engaging our students. We were very fortunate to have post-secondary partners who they knew we needed to get this done in spite of, COVID. We've been planning this for a while, but with COVID, everyone knows that happened. So we were able to transform those face-to-face summer learning programs to online experiences for our students. Right now we have 14 summer programs that will be taking place at these with these institutions. You see this information on the screen. Many of our Europe students are actually participating in these camps, but we have a lot of statewide service schools that are also participating in these camps. I have been able to sit in some of these experiences, which are absolutely amazing. We have some of our institutions, Grambling State, doing virtual ACT workshops, walking them through there. I was able to sit in on at Southeastern aquaponics, actually creating these ecosystems, or these neat way of showing them how to grow things, anywhere from, chemistry, cosmetics. So connecting chemistry to cosmetics. They're also learning about physics, connecting it to roller skating. They're all four of these institutions are using their programs of study or their professors to actively engage their students in ways to help them understand why they have to take chemistry, why physics is important, how to beat the germ. So they're doing that through on the art side. So STEAM, Northwestern, La Tech, they're doing that, and they're actually making it very interactive with the students. So very pleased with that. You can advance on to the last slide. So as you can tell, I'm very excited about what I've been able to experience, what the team has been able to experience with these virtual summer camps. The students' feedback was absolutely amazing. And I'm careful to say also, okay, so we polled our school districts. So to find out, okay, so who actually has technology to these students at their homes now during the summer? Okay, so when we found out that there were gaps in terms of these particular students did not have technology or internet, these four post-secondary institutions, I'll say them again, Northwestern, Grambling, La Tech, Southeastern, they actually rose to the occasion to make sure that these students actually had that through our partnership with them. They made sure that they had technology agreements to actually provide technology to those students, also kits. So how are they doing these experiments? They actually mail kits with some of the programs home to them so they could actually work on their projects while at home. So not only did they, so they're providing the content and the instruction, also they're supporting the students through the technology and or the kits that are needed to actually provide the instruction. So I'm just very excited, very pleased with this model. It's very important as we move forward, the how, as we're building these model practices. We can't say best practices just yet because we haven't been in a situation like this, but we're very excited about that. Last slide, Miranda. And finally, Brittany Williams and Ebony Holmes, actually from our office, actually were Brittany Williams actually was one of the moderators, and Ebony Holmes actually was a content expert for the mayor's live chat, as you see on the screen, which was well participated. Definitely want to say that they did a wonderful job, answering questions as it related to all things LOSFA, how we can actually support, the community. So definitely wanted to mention that as a part of the capital area promise. And that's all I have.
This is Mary Ann. This is amazing. I want to give a shout out to Dr. Henderson Schools for doing all of this. These are the kinds of, from my perspective, these, particularly the last thing we talked about, mailing the kits and all, are really, I think, important stories to get out to the citizens of the state. So, I mean, I think they're confused. And I think the fact that what you are showing is it is able to do things. You are able to do productive things, working in collaboration with all of the stakeholders. And you're still going forward as serving the citizens and the student of this state. And those kinds of things that those 4 institutions did, and this virtual thing, I would like to see, if it's possible, to see some of the media pick that up, because or whatever, because I think those are real important stories that people would like to hear. I mean, I can't keep up with it, so I would like to hear more about it.
Definitely.
Any other questions?
This is Amy. Have you guys thought about how you're going to manage the fall semester? In light of whether we have classes or not, and all the services that you provide, within the high schools?
Yeah, so we are right now, we are preparing. We do a boot camp every summer, which this year will be virtual. So we are in the process, so when this initially started, all the events that, LOSFA does in terms of outreach, those events, I shouldn't say all, most of all of those events that, just that every citizen, school, community partner can actually request, that was actually taken on an online format, meaning the event request form was done so that we can do these events virtually. With that being said, we're in the next phase of that. So we are actually, our team, depending on, which section of outreach they work in, we're updating our manual to make sure that we can actually provide services to the schools via, remote participation. And one of the things that I can't say enough about these post-secondary partners and the campaign that we've been able to do with them with these summer programs, because this provides, model practices. For example, our team did call. So we called into the homes. Even though we use text messaging, we use emails, we primarily use calls, approximately 600 calls a day to engage in those homes. And I'm saying that because as we move to the fall, we've been keeping up with DE's guidance on how that's going to look. We're communicating with our districts, but we do understand, in case something happens and that school is not on ground, that means that we need to go directly into those homes. We have a model for that now in terms of how we're engaging with the students that we support directly into the home. So what I can tell you is that we have our manual, we have procedures that we're actively working on updating and making sure that we still have, on-ground methods as well as remote methods. And also we're making sure that in spite of what happens, we still have connectivity, whereas we can get to those students to make sure that they have the guidance that they need in terms of college and career readiness directly in the homes.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Chairwoman Coleman?
Other questions or comments?
Yes, I wanted to comment to just to piggyback off of Dr. Cobb with our summer learning camps. We are also, continuing to promote that on social media, but every time we receive a story from Dr. Cobb's team and outreach, we're writing the stories to share with the media in that regard too. So how our summer learning camps are benefiting them, especially like with our, with how we're addressing the digital divide, with the technology and all of that too. So we're definitely working together to get that out there to the media.
I certainly didn't mean to imply that you weren't. I just mean these are the kinds of things from my perspective that people are just thirsting to hear, because it's parents and it's grandparents and they want to know that this virtual thing that their children are engaging in is worthwhile and is working. And hopefully with the new bills that were passed, the digital divide and all of that, it's just like you have to hit them 10 times, 20 times with it. People want to know that we're not just in a quagmire here, that this just isn't we're just all not treading water. You are going forward, and it is amazing. And it is amazing that the higher education institutions and Dr. Henderson schools are doing all of this. I mean, it's what people, I think, want to hear. So I appreciate all your work. I certainly didn't imply that you weren't doing it, nor did I mean to put more on you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, so the next one is, where are we now?
Dr. Henderson, did you want to say something?
I just said you can pile it on, but you can Brittany answer it.
I missed it. What happened?
I think you were cutting out, Dr. Henderson.
I just said that go ahead, Marianne, and pile it on. Brittany, they can handle more.
Well, no, well, it's just people are so they're disconnected. I mean, they do all these Zoom meetings, but then there are all of these people like myself, and we stay home. We try to do the right things. We read the newspaper. We stay up, or then we try to stay up on things. And these are the kinds of things, they really ought to be front page stories of the newspapers. If I had my way, then that's not going to happen. But it's like, in spite of all of this, and here is what our higher education institutions, here is what our LOSFA is doing, here's how the students are responding, here's what we've learned. We've learned that this does work, and we are moving forward. It's not easy for anybody, and you all are making it work, and I sincerely appreciate that.
And it's fair to expect people to focus on their own legal status, right? This is a time that none of us, go back to March 9th, Ohio State announced that they were closing. It caught all of us off guard. We thought, what actually is going on here? Think about how far we've come in just a short period of time. But it's the resilience of students and the resilience and dedication of faculty are really the story to tell about this pandemic, and also about people that are just focused on the work. The hospital staff is ideal.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Comments? Okay, I guess we move on to the next, which is scholarships and grants update. Ms. Paul?
Deborah, are you there?
Or you may be muted.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Okay. Okay, the first program is the Bessie Tuition for Teachers Billing Update. And we've made all of those awards for the 2019-2020 academic year. This summer, we had 4 recipients that were eligible to receive tuition that will train our teachers in a STEM-related area so they can therefore go back to their high schools and help their students in STEM-related educational programs. The next one is the Louisiana Gold Grant. We completed our spring 2020 billing, and ended up using the entire allocation, which is great, of $28,429,108,000. We have also done our allocations for the upcoming year, which is the 2020-2021 academic year. We sent a bulletin out on July 8th, and we were able to get an additional $1 million that was secured through the Louisiana legislative session. So now our goal grant balance for the upcoming year is at $29.4 million. Wow. So schools were notified last week about that, so they can begin making those awards prior to the start of the fall 2020 semester. Our billing deadlines are the same. We are looking at revising, updating our current Go Grant Q&A. So we're working on that, and we'll pass it through audit and legal before we disseminate it to our post-secondary schools. Any questions about BESI or Go Grant? No, but not. We can go to the next slide, Rhonda. Okay, our John R. Justice program, and for our new members, this is a program where practicing prosecutors and public defenders who work in public service can get a portion of their outstanding student loan debt repaid. So with John R. Justice update, we had 11 applications from our 5 circuits, which are different districts throughout the state of Louisiana, and we had 11 prosecutor applications. We currently make 5 awards for the public defenders and 10 awards for prosecutors. Because traditionally public defenders make less than prosecutors, the public defender awards are at $3,900 each. The prosecutor awards are at $1,950. So we have awarded for this year 3 of the 5 public defenders and 7 of the 10 prosecutors. Because the tax deadline has been extended through July 15th, we are still waiting on some of the applicants to provide us with the accurate tax information so we can make those remaining awards for the year. The next program is the Go Youth Challenge Grant Update. And this is a grant program for students who have gone through the National Guard Youth Challenge Program, which is a residential type program for students between the ages of 15 and 18. Most of these students graduate from Youth Challenge and then go into post-secondary education, while others will do credit course recovery at Youth Challenge and then return to their respective high schools and graduate with them. So students who complete the Youth Challenge program are eligible for a grant up to 2 years, and they have to major, and they can, this is changed from 2 years ago, but now they can attend a 2 or 4 year post-secondary school and major in a occupation that would lead to a 3, 4, or 5-star job, as determined by the Louisiana Workforce Commission. This spring, we had 22 recipients. So our total for the 1920 academic year is 43 recipients, and we've expended $73,532 with the Go Youth Challenge program. Any questions? And if there are no questions, then I'll turn it back over to our chairwoman.
Okay, well, actually, let's turn it back over to Rhonda. She does so much more. Okay, we're next to, and we have the TOPS update.
That would be Brett. Brett, you're up.
Yep. All right. You guys have been seeing a $311 million TOPS allocation all year long. In the supplemental budget that was approved by the legislature in late May, there was a $3.5 million cut to TOPS for the fiscal year 2019-20. That cut was actually based on LOSFA's own TOPS projections. It was money that we would have been given back at the end of the fiscal year anyway. So we've been saying since October that we would spend 99% of the original allocation. So we voluntarily gave back the other 1% a little early to help with the state's budget shortfalls. So we've spent basically exactly the percentage of TOPS at this point this year that we did last year. We are still spending against the 1920 TOPS allocation. The 13th period ends August 15th, and we will spend out of that remaining $717,000. until August 15th or until we run out of money, whichever comes first. So we're still in very good shape for TOP for this year. And you'll see on the next slide that we are fully funded for next year as well for TOPS. One more, Rhonda?
Yeah, you had the budget update next.
Gotcha. And that $344,000, there's a little bit of a story behind that, the cut in LOSFA admin. We've actually known about that $344,000 cut since late May. And we made that work primarily by cutting out salary increases that we had budgeted for this year for unclassified LOSFA staff members. That's about 55% of our staff, and cutting our travel budget in half. There were also some minor cuts to the state match for our Gear Up program for supplies and swag related to events that won't happen in person. Things like the flag tour and that type of thing that we know are not, it's unlikely we're going to actually be able to show up and do those programs. A few days before the special session ended, we were asked for another budget scenario that first included $800,000 in cuts, but was reduced to an additional $467,000 in cuts. So in total, $812,000. There was no more low-hanging fruit at that point to cut. So at that point, we had to start looking at vacant positions, 2 positions for interns who had earned full-time spots on their respective teams, staff increase for award attainment of advanced degrees. We have it built in if budget allows, where we give our staff a bonus, a little bit a bump in pay for advanced degrees. That version of the budget actually got out of the House and Senate with that additional $467,000 in cuts. Fortunately, the governor used his line item veto authority to veto those last cuts. So so God bless Governor Edwards. I don't know why he did it, but thank God he did. And we are now being told to expect mid-year cuts. So we've decided to prioritize putting those expenses back in the budget. We decided that the first priority was to put those vacant positions back in the budget. I know that some agencies, state agencies, have vacant positions that are just on the books and ride for years and years. LOSFA is not one of those. We were interviewing for 2 of the 3 vacant positions that we were forced to take out when COVID hit. So these are positions that we are backfilling from staff members who moved into different positions. So we are these are necessary positions, and hoping that the other expenses will be able to wait until after the second special session ends. They're talking about an October 15th special session. It's still not on the books, I know. And we'll decide then whether we can put those back in the budget. I've heard rumors of as much as 10% cuts. Obviously, nobody can take a 10% SGF cut in the middle of the year, but that's what we're being told. That's one of the rumors going around. So TOPS, we estimated about 3% more than we spent this year. In all honesty, TOPS is this is the biggest guessing game I've ever had with TOPS, and it's always a guessing game. But there are so many variables that could affect this tremendously. It's going to be an interesting year. I keep telling people I'm almost certainly wrong on my TOPS projections because this is the one from October. But I don't know if it's too much or too little. Will returning out-of-state students be more than the students who have decided to simply sit out a semester because of the uncertainty? It's going to be interesting. Deborah mentioned that we got $1 million more for Go grants. And then the start is for the earnings enhancements, an additional $1 million. I asked for it for fiscal year 1920. They did give me $500,000 in the supplemental budget, but the new amount for earnings enhancements for start should be enough that we don't need to ask for additional for additional start earnings enhancement money for the next 2 or 3 years at least. So so I'm happy about that. And for anyone who's interested, the amount that we requested for Go Grants, as you know, it's always quite a bit more than we actually received. We received an additional $1 million. We requested an additional $34 million to fully fund the Go Grant. So just it's still less than half funded if we were going to actually fully fund Go Grant. So just put that caveat in there. Any questions on the budget?
Brent, and this may be all for other people that are working in higher ed, all of you sitting on here. Do you have any ideas about when you might know how things are going? What people coming back from out of state, returning, people sitting out? Do you have any ideas? How's it looking for you? Man, I'm just curious.
Well, Dr. Boutte is actually going to talk about some of the early indicators in just a minute. But when will I know for sure is after that 14th class date, when these schools start to send in invoices. That from a fiscal standpoint, that's when I'll know. But this year there's even more variables, because normally spring semester, for example, has a 98% retention rate from fall to spring. This year, if a lot of students decide to sit out fall, it could actually be over 100. 105 or 110 would not surprise me. So this is still going to be a weird year even after fall. I can give you a better estimate after September, but even then, there's still going to be question marks.
Thank you.
Yep.
Other questions, comments for Brent? Okay, if not, we move on to the next one, which is
Going to be Dr. Boutte with the executive director.
all right. Thank
Yes,
you.
good morning, everybody. And let me
morning.
say a great welcome to our new members, Mr. Cox, and thank you very much for Dr. Henderson for joining us. We're going to be looking at the digital divide during COVID-19, a little bit more on what we're doing for that, TOPS processing, comparisons, and FAFSA data comparisons. And Rhonda, you can advance the slide.
I don't have any more slides for you.
You
I'm
don't have the
sorry.
graphic?
Do you want me to show the packet?
The graphic, yes.
Okay.
But I can speak to the graphic if you don't have it loaded. I thought you had it loaded. All right, so the digital divide, we have, again, as Dr. Cobb mentioned, the virtual summer camps that are being conducted, and she gave you a wonderful summary of those. We also have virtual office hours that are being conducted. The majority of those are FAFSA completion campaign requests, also TOPS eligibility. Our staff is responding to a significant amount of emails. The virtual office hours are conducted via Zoom. We have also been, we've transitioned our request for assistance, as Brittany mentioned and Dr. Cobb mentioned, to virtual requests for assistance, so that regardless of which model our schools decide to use this fall, we will be ready with that. So that's what's happening in addition to the post-secondary institutions through the funding with Connect to Success, have distributed to students via the survey Dr. Cobb talked about, the needs survey. They have distributed technology, the MiFi and technology devices to students. We've used DocuSign to be able to codify the agreements between the parents and the students and the post-secondary institutions. And I'm very proud of the way that those institutions have collaborated to be able to say there's no such thing as time, space, place anymore, that we're doing these camps virtually. So for example, Southeastern did not have the capacity to do DocuSign. So they worked with Grambling to be able to distribute equipment to those students in the northern part of the state. with respect to TOPS eligibility. While we are seeing fewer students at this point in time compared to last year that we are processing, I'm very proud to see that of those students that we are processing, last year at this time, about 66% were eligible for TOPS. This year, 68% are eligible for TOPS of that cohort. And we are seeing, like, let's say 9,000 and change ineligible as opposed to last year's 11,000 ineligible. So great strides in that manner. And staff did an amazing job during COVID of actually running processing on time, getting with the Department of Education, and making sure that this ran very smoothly. So kudos to everyone that's been involved with that. The other thing that we are looking at is the FAFSA data comparison. And at this particular point in time, we are still in the number 2 seat. What we are excited about is, even though we are not number 1 at this particular point in time, as we were last year, we are seeing greater gains and strides that are being made in the last half of the or the last portion of the year after that July 1st. We were averaging about 0.3 to 0.5% increases in FAFSA completions week to week. We are now starting to average 0.7% increases. So again, the efforts of the campaign, the boost on social media, the collaboration between scholarships and grants, public information and communications, and field outreach are yielding extremely great fruit and great results for our students. And I'm very proud that our team has never stopped working on behalf of the students that we serve. And that concludes my update, unless there are questions.
I have a question.
Certainly.
Is there anything, because I tried to follow it, but I didn't do a very good job. Were there any
Okay.
significant legislative developments, changes to
Yes.
TOPS? I just,
The significant legislative development, and Robin, if I don't get this correct, then you can correct me, is the change to TOPS Tech. The change to TOPS Tech that now allows individuals that are honorably discharged from the military, that have served 3 years, that were discharged from bases in Louisiana, that did score a 17 on the ACT or the silver on the work keys, and are Louisiana or residing in Louisiana. Those individuals are adults, and they will now be able to come back and claim a TOPS Tech award. Again, as Brett talked about, this is something that we really cannot say what the impact of this is going to be fiscally, and how this is going to impact TOPS projections, because this change to the program was not factored into projections. The legislature did put a sunset on it of 3 years, but certainly if this combined with more returning out-of-state students, more students staying home and going to school, so not just those returning from out of state because they want to be close to home, but those who may have been going to school out of state, and now because of COVID, they've chosen to go to school in state. All of those things could impact the cost of TOPS. And we will, as Brett mentioned, continue to look at the projection model, continue to watch the actuals coming in from billings, and adjust as rapidly as we can, and let folks know at the legislature and at the division and at the Board of Regents as quickly as we know if we see that funding seems to be inadequate.
that's great. Thank you very much. Other questions?
There was one other change to TOPS other than the codification of the executive order. The increase in GPAs for performance and honors was to go into effect for 2021 graduates. That was pushed back to 2022 graduates. That's the other major change to TOPS.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Questions or comments on the executive director's update? If not, then we move to old business. Is that right? Okay, and that we consider recommending the publication of final rules to amend the Start Savings Program administrative rules to add interest rates. I won't read the whole thing for you unless I'm supposed to.
No, it's not necessary.
Okay, thank you. Well, I just want to make sure that I don't get anybody in trouble here for violation of anything because I didn't do what I was supposed to do. So that's the recommendation and we need a motion to approve.
I approve.
Thank you. And a second?
I second.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve the publication of this final rule. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The
Aye.
same? Aye. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. So the motion is approved. Okay, and next we go to, let me see, where are we here? Okay, I'm trying to keep up with the details as well. Okay, the adoption of meeting dates for the period of August through December 20. And those dates are?
The dates are in your packet and
The
just,
dates are in your packet, right?
so
August
just
8th.
note that some of those dates, then as long as we're in COVID, we'll probably be having virtual meetings. So.
Right. And they're in your packet in August 18th, September 17th, November 5th, December 1st, as changes are made. Okay. And it is noted in what was in their packet that determinations for in-person or virtual will be made lately. Okay. So I need a motion to adopt the proposed meeting dates.
This is Amy. I motion to approve the adopted meeting dates.
Thank you, Amy. A second?
I second, I'm sorry.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adopt the meeting dates.
Is that second by Ms. Talbert? Who is the second?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I could, moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Good, thank you. So we have the new meeting dates. Moving on to other new business. Rulemaking for the start accounts. And in your packet, you have all of those changes, proposed changes in the rulemaking. So we need a motion to approve, please.
I so move.
And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Been moved and seconded to approve these rules. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, so that motion is adopted as well. So we're now moving on to what would be the last item? Nope, where are we?
Or the amendments to the scholarship and grants. These are the acts of the legislature. Robin can explain a little bit more.
Okay, Robin.
There were actually 4 acts that passed the legislature. One of them is not included in the rulemaking because it wasn't necessary. That was, let's see, I didn't write down the act number. It's the act that equalized the tuition for North Louisiana Technical Community College with that of all of the other technical community colleges. Last year when they combined those schools, they did not account for the fact that all of the other technical community colleges had higher TOPS award amounts, so they equalized that this year. The other provisions is codification of Proclamation 41 with respect to the COVID waivers and the extension of the GPA for performance and honors to 2022, as well as the military bill that Dr. Boutte discussed a few minutes ago. And
Anybody?
that one does have a sunset of 2023, so it will only be effective for 3 years.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions? If not, I need a motion to approve. Here's your chance if you haven't already made a motion yet today. Who is it?
Amy Merrick's motion to approve.
Oh, thank you, Amy. And a second, please.
This is Amy. I'll second.
Thank you, Amy. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Opposed? Good job. So that has been approved. So when we move on to are we on the new business exceptional circumstances for any new members? In your packet that was sent out, I'm going to, we have two requests. They have both been recommended for approval and by the staff. And the one sentence that I would like to point out, and I appreciate the staff putting in, was in the first one. And it says, because it helps to understand the process, it's in parentheses at the bottom of the paragraph. If student had been able to obtain a letter from her mother's doctor, this file would have been processed through the subcommittee. However, since we do not have the required documentation from a doctor, which states that the student's mother needed care, it cannot be processed in that subcommittee. And this is primarily for those of you who are relatively new to this. And Robin may want to take a minute. The exceptions that finally come to us as board members have already gone through a very extensive process. And Robin, could you just comment a minute for the benefit of those that are new to this, that subcommittee process?
Of course. So there are several types of exceptions that require objective documentation. For example, number one here, under those objective circumstances, the student would have to provide a letter from the parent's doctor stating that that parent needed care and that student provided that care. In this case, student wasn't able to provide that, which is why it comes here. The Exceptional Circumstances Subcommittee or Exceptional Circumstances Committee is made up of LOSFA executive staff. We write the summary and we discuss the implications of each file. And then if they are approved in that executive committee, it's brought to you for review and approval. And then from there, it will go to the Board of Regents for final approval. I would note that sitting on that committee, we have two of our audit members. We have legal, scholarships and grants, of course, communications is there, and we all sit around and a table usually. In COVID, we have been doing this via Zoom, obviously, or conference call, and discuss whether or not there are precedents for granting or denying certain requests, and they get hashed out rather extensively in that meeting before it is brought to y'all for review.
Any questions? I appreciate that. I wanted to make people aware that the subcommittee is very diligent, and they know the institutional history, and by the time it gets to us, especially where there are no recommendations for denial, or sometimes I think a couple of times you have what am I trying to say here? I think the notations have been, that the subcommittee could not make a recommendation either way or something like that. And then this committee has to make the decision, which then goes up to the Board of Regents. So with that process in mind, two recommendations for approval of the exceptions, which were in your original packet. And so I'd like to have a motion to approve these two. And let me go back. Any questions? I'm not hearing any questions. Okay, if there are no questions or comments, do I have a motion to approve these two recommendations? And a second? I'm sure there's
I'll
one there. I just didn't hear it.
I'll
Go ahead.
second. Brooks Powell, I'll second.
Thanks, Brooke. All right, so it's been moved and seconded to approve these two recommendations. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Good job. Opposed, the same. Okay, these recommendations have been approved. I think that brings us to it brings us to public comment again.
We just have to make sure we didn't get any public comment on the YouTube page while we were broadcasting live or nothing else came in. Andrew, did anything else come in?
No comments.
No comments.
Do we know if we looked good on the YouTube? Is that,
That's
Okay.
an Andrew question.
Yeah. For posterity, it will always be there too. Is that right, Andrew, or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm gonna make a notation of that for my grandchildren. Okay, I do appreciate all your
You can
time.
also go back and watch it at any time.
Pardon?
You can also go back and rewatch it at any time.
Oh,
You can
well,
go back and rewatch it at any time.
It may be punishment, if grandchildren misbehave, maybe their parents say, okay, and now you're going to have to watch your grandmother for an hour on YouTube and write a report or something like that. Anyway, I appreciate all of the time that you get. I know that this is probably just one of many meetings today. And on that, I need a motion for adjournment.
I'll motion.
Someone else has something to say, excuse me.
No.
All right, motion for adjournment?
I'll motion.
Got that? All right, thank you all. It's been moved and seconded and we are adjourned. Have a good day, everyone.